It's my delight to welcome you to the continuation of your news and current affairs program TMI, coming to you live from our Lagos Network studios on the ITV network. I am Joshua Okata. Of course, as you know, the tsunami, I'm talking about the political defection or crisscrossing as it were, has already commenced, particularly in Delta State, given the fact that the former governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, and of course the incumbent in the person of Sheriff Oboreviri, have already defected to the All Progressive Congress. A wave, so to speak, that is cutting across other political, states, of course, of the opposition. And what could be the danger if this tragic event is not curtailed, especially in considering the fact that a fledgling democracy like Nigeria delving into a one-party state is what we'll be considering this morning. And of course, I have joining me this morning is our guest in the person of Mr. Said Ajadi. He is a political affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Said, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Joshua.
The political wave has started since last week, with Ifeanyi Okowa and Sheriff taking the lead. Information has it that, as we have it, some states of the opposition are likely to join, with the possible signs here and there, the body language. My question to you is, it is a known fact that political ideology means nothing to the average Nigerian politician. Political affiliation means nothing to the average Nigerian. But what is this sudden emergency affection by the opposition parties finding home in the ruling or progressive? Is it perhaps somewhat of threats here and there? Or what is this political strategic alignment about? Is it for the re-election of 2027? What exactly is it, in your honest submission?
Thank you very much for having me.
You're
Good morning
welcome.
once more, Nigerians. The reality is straightforward. This has happened before in our experience in our democracy. You see, politicians in Nigeria don't like to lose elections. Politicians like to be with the ruling party. Politicians have no ideology. Politicians know they don't have a deep thinking. Politicians, they are very myopic. And that's why we are here we are. You see, we have to give it to APC, because it has shown that APC has come to stay and taken over as the formidable party to upturn in an election. Don't forget, they were a regional government, ACN, NPP, ANPP, and it was a merger in 2013, 2014, before the last election of 2015. They had good intentions and they had people that loved Nigeria, so it worked. When they took power, a lot of PDP members are now members of APC since 2015. I said it in different forums, PDP is going to crash. It's no rocket science. It is the reality of what is going on. Who are the leaders of PDP today? The founding fathers, they've done their 16 years of nothing, and they've handed the party to people that have no vision. So there's no way PDP will not crash. Opposition parties will come up that will upturn PDP, because PDP has wasted Nigeria's time for 16 years. We have seen what has happened. We have seen APC start up, and we have seen APC gather strategy now in order to maintain power. This is what is called politics, and that's what we're seeing at play. So I'm not surprised. More will go in. Let me give you an example. A governor that was receiving 5 billion as a state's monthly stipend from federal government now gets 13 billion as a stipend monthly. If that governor is in the opposition, there is no way he's not going to think of transiting, because he has seen that this party and the person at the helms of affairs can deliver more funds rather than him going to borrow every month from a bank or a shack to do projects. Because to pay salaries with the 5 billion is too difficult, talk less of doing projects. But when you now have a government that can give funds far more than is expected in his imagination, definitely is going to consider. Because he doesn't have an ideology, he will consider coming to another party.
Pause for a while, because you've mentioned a whole lot of factors.
Yes.
That precipitates a move.
Yes.
For either a political party or group of individuals. Cross-carpeting.
That's right.
You made mention that to an average politician, it's about the next election. Not about party affiliation, not about...
It's not ideology. It's
party
not about,
ideology.
no, they don't have ideologies.
So the formation, the merging or the merger that took place between 2013 and 2014, before 2015,
election,
was about how to get power.
Was about how to save Nigeria.
There was nothing about how to save Nigeria. It was how to take power.
You did not hear what I said. Let me reiterate what I said. Hold on. I don't want to argue. Let me reiterate what I said. I said to you, patriotic citizens that came together between 2013 and 2014. Use that word, quote me. Patriotic citizens, people who had intention and loved Nigeria. Right now, they don't love Nigeria. Then, it was about loving Nigeria and trying to interject. Buhari loves Nigeria, but he could not do better because of the caliber of people that worked with him. I was praying for Buhari for 8 years because I knew from get-go they would not allow him to succeed. But with the new president that we have there, he is a warrior, he is a strategist, and he works hard. As a matter of fact, he works harder when there is a problem that is going on. So for me, seeing him work in Lagos State and see the adversaries of how his governance was in Lagos State, I knew from experience, I'm a trained psychologist, I knew from experience that if it is the same individual, he's going to surmount all those hurdles and Nigeria is going to be better.
Okay, now let's look at the crisscrossing of Ifeanyi Kowa and Sheriff. Before long, we heard about he being arrested to the tune of 1.3 trillion.
You mean Okowa?
Yes.
Okay.
For misuse, alleged misuse of funds. Right now, he has found home with the ruling All Progressive Congress. The question is it a function of strategically aligning himself for the next election, or is it a case of, as it were, as a sinner, if you find home with the APC, your sins will be forgiven? Because we've not heard anything about the alleged corruption case. So what's your take on that?
I believe whoever is guilty has to be proven. So the court, if EFCC believes that Okowa is guilty, he has to still be dealt with because he has no immunity. That's number one. Number two, this has happened before. In the case of the Senate president now, he was alleged and he pleaded. From PDP, he moved to APC. And now he's our Senate president. So it's not new. That's why I said to you that all that has happened now is not new. If James Ibori is still alive, and the way he handled politics in Delta State is still something to work with, there's no way Okowa and the governor would not move. Because James Ibori will not work in a party that is not going to win an election. So
it's about election, not governance.
Governance has nothing to do with this, because this is about party affiliation now. It's not about governance. There's a difference between governance and party affiliation. That's why I said to you, I used individuals. I used the president that is sitting now when he was an ACN governor, and he surmounted obstacles and achieved his goal even when he was not receiving any revenue. So now he could say in December that when he was in his house in Ikoyi, I listened to it on TVC. He said, for the last 3 months, I have not collected a dime from NNPC and I've run the government. That's a cliche that we refuse to listen to. It means that the man is telling you, I have more sources of revenue that have been able to get Nigeria moving on without oil. That's a feat. Buhari could not. All the monies that Buhari borrowed was because he wanted to pay subsidies, he wanted to pay governors, and he wanted to pay chairmen of local government. So we have to see a total departure, and that's a plus for us. We have removed subsidy. The man is still able to raise money. We have now state local governments should be autonomous, and we are funding them. I just used an example. I said states that receive 5 billion are receiving 13 billion. And if the tax law is now enacted, it's going to increase.
Now, what's your take? You might not like the person of Atiku Abubakar. You've said this before on this platform. And I'm bringing this issue because an Atiku Abubakar once had a running mate in the person of Ifeanyi Okowa. The news of Ifeanyi Okowa defecting to the ruling All Progressive came as a shock waves to the opposition party. And of course, Atiku has waded into the matter. Bukola Saraki has also waded into the matter. A situation they both feel anyone who wants to leave can leave. They would PDP. Have to rebuild the party for those who are still left.
Yes.
What is your take as regards having a running mate who was once your ally but now moving to the All Progressive Congress?
I left PDP 2010 to form Accord because I felt PDP was wasting my time and they had no focus.
So to you at that point in time it was about your re-election?
No, it was about Nigeria. I came into politics because of Nigeria.
You said they were wasting your time.
They were wasting my time because I need. That's what I want to tell you. I want to serve the country. I was a young man. He got to serve Nigeria.
So there wasn't other persons within the party who had the same ambition that you do?
They were several leaders left PDP in 2010 in Oyo State with us, and we started Accord because they had no vision. See. The elections that took place under PDP was just selection. There was no election. We were just writing results.
Say that again.
The elections that took place under PDP, that's part of why we left. There was no primary election. There were just selections. I have faced guns.
You said they were writing results.
Yes, I have faced guns and cutlass. I have gone to INEC in that time, and I realized that the election we were going to have was not going to exist because they had already written winners. What are you talking about? PDP. If we talk about PDP here, we're not going to leave. I was a member. I'm not spoiling the. I'm telling you what has transpired. Let me go to the specifics.
Okay, so
you're talking about Atiku Abubakar.
Yes.
Atiku Abubakar is not a good example to mention in any form. I keep saying it. They spent 8 years. What do we have to show for it? Quote and unquote. Atiku Abubakar said by his own mouth, we are giving $16 billion. We gave 100% contracts. And nothing was done. There was not a single bulb that turned on. That's a shame. That's not a leader. That's a waste of time. Give me $16 billion today. I would challenge any previous president to start this economy again. Because that is what I've been taught. That is what I've learned. That's what I'm waiting to practicalize. Nigeria is not a problem. Nigerians are the problem. Lack of governance is the problem. Lack of leadership is the problem. Lack of good followership is the problem. So if you are talking about Atiku Abubakar, for instance, I'll give you indices. We sold Nigerian Airways. He said it wasn't functioning well because some people were giving tickets to their girlfriends and they were, for goodness sake, the head should not be cut off because he has a headache. There is no existence anymore. What you should do is retool it. Get people that are competent to manage it. You said to us, you said we cannot refine. We are refining now. You sold all our properties. We have nothing. Go into the bank as a businessman now. The first thing they will ask you is, do you have collateral? What do you want to put into the business to succeed? We don't have anything as Nigerians. That is why Buhari borrowed money to pay bills. It was the likes of Atiku Abubakar that sold all the properties. Buhari paid the stipends of workers of Nigerian Airways after 16 years of non-payment. That's not a person that I want to listen to. So that is why we left PDP and went into Accord, because I don't believe in PDP governance.
All right, so let me ask you.
So Okowa, as his deputy that moved to APC now, it's because Okowa has funds. And he had funds. That is why he became the deputy in that last election. It was because of money.
So he had funds.
He had funds.
So the issue about the speculation.
So it's not about Atiku. It's about Okowa, because they know.
The issue about the allegation heaped on his neck of the 1.3 trillion. Where is it coming from?
Delta State has a lot of funds. Delta State is one of the states that earn the most in Nigeria. So saying to me that there is 1.3 billion, 1.3 trillion hanging on his neck, that's why I said I can't speak for that, because I'm not a member of EFCC, I'm not a member of government, I don't know the facts.
Okay,
so I can't speak on it.
Now, what's your take on the response from the presidency in the person of Bayo Onanuga stating that the defection of Okowa along with his colleague, as he puts it, has disintegrated the coalition attempt
that's very
allegedly carried out by Atiku Abubakar and the rest of his folks?
Can't you see?
What's your take on that?
But my take is definitely true. It's true now, because Atiku has been broken in the spinal cord. If Okowa is your vice president in the last election, and Okowa was funding, mind you, it wasn't Atiku that funded that last election, it was Okowa.
You cannot substantiate that, so let's just leave that.
But we have
to just address the point.
Okay, so now, if finance has been cut off, how do you develop? How do you coalesce? You need a coalition that's got finance. You need a coalition that has got strategy. You need a coalition that has got foresight. You need a coalition that has dogged followers.
Are you also reading the rooms that Nigerians are talking directly to Atiku Abubakar not to proceed with his presidential bid? If actually he doesn't have the fund, would they be asking him not to run?
Atiku can gather support from his
or without the partnership or collaboration
he's going to reduce his prowess to achieve his goal, because ready fund is not available.
We have a lot to talk about. We'll be going for a short break now, and when we return,
you have that allowed me to answer that question.
You would address it. You address it.
Right.
So let's just go for this break. When we return, we'll take the conversation to the front line. Please don't go nowhere. Thank you so much for staying with us. The program is TMI, coming to you from our Lagos network studios on the ITV network. For a while now, we've been talking about the defection cutting across supposedly some other opposition states, starting with Delta State. And of course, we have our guest right here who has been giving us his 2 cents as regards the possible, disintegration, as it were, that might occur if there was actually a coalition attempt. So kindly address that fact.
Well, it's not a fact here, just permutating. Atiku has people that will come back to him because he has done favors. He has sold properties of Nigeria to them. BP, he was in charge of the economy. So there's so many things that Atiku can do. Although I don't believe in Atiku, he will still get his cronies to work with him. But in economics and in psychology, there's something called statistics. How in the coefficient of Atiku's people in tandem with what we have as a quantum in Nigeria, is it going to shake or have any effect? The dynamics of their own coalition, is it going to have an effect on the ruling party? That's the question we have now. Is it going to have effect on elections in 2020, 2027? That's what we're talking about. For me, as a person and as a voter, I cannot vote for PDP. For me, I can't. Because I've seen what PDP has done in 16 years. If I was given opportunity and my own age group was given opportunity then, Nigeria would not be in the problem they are today. We would have interjected because we saw it 20 years ago coming. Under PDP, not under APC. So if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. Atiku has planned to fail because he was given opportunity for 8 years and he failed. So for me, I would not risk my life for Nigeria or for such people. It's too old. It's time for the younger generation and in middle age to take action and take these people out of the system. So by now, let me finish. By now, we shouldn't be talking about Atiku Abubakar anymore.
So in your words, the defection of Okowa has actually broken the spinal cord of Atiku.
Yes, because these are the people that supported his re-election bid in 2023. And so if they are no more there, he's going to have to look for financiers elsewhere to back him up if he's going to be their candidate. And he's not going to, I don't think PDP will bring in Atiku after all this, because there's nothing to offer.
Now, in the eyes of the storm, Delta State seems to be taking the lead. But there are speculations that other states, Osun, Plateau, Anambra, Abia, and Enugu, are speculated to have some exhibition of signs, potentials.
I'm giving you those indices.
To move towards that, trajectory. What's your
Yes.
thought on that?
That's why I said to you, states that were receiving 5 billion as revenue, they are getting 13 to 15 billion now. And if the Senate and the House, if they pass the bill on tax, they might probably get to 20 billion a month. Why would I want to stay in a party that is moribund when there is a party that is progressive running the government? That's always been the case of Nigeria. If you look at history, a lot of people moved from opposition into PDP because PDP was ruling then, and they were being oppressed by the then president. So a lot of people moved. But now, let me finish. Now, this is about economic driven movement. In order to perform as governors, rather than borrow money and leave debt profiles for the state, there is a center that is giving more funds to be able to actualize governance. That makes a lot of sense.
Among these states that I've just mentioned, Enugu seems to be a state with the body language he has been showing off lately, especially given the fact that it is well known that he's a close ally to the president, and of course showering praises of the president's achievement. There are likelihood that he might, cross carpet. But in a case like Anambra, headed by the executive governor, Soludo, which in a statement he said that he doesn't see, he doesn't see any possibility of he cross-carpeting, given the fact that APC has no foundation. So what's your take on that?
He must have his views on what he's saying. He's been able to hold his own forth in Anambra State because he's got pedigree as an accountant, as a professor, blah blah blah.
So Chris Uba doesn't have a pedigree.
No, hold on. I am going somewhere. Chris Uba has his own pedigree. What I'm saying to you, you said something earlier. You said he's a friend to the president. Friendship is goodwill, and that's 25% in economics. So that goodwill that the president is enjoying with him can sway him. Now, Soludo is Abga. Soludo has never been a friend to that close. But the reality is that Soludo is fighting re-election now based on his own performance and lack of performance. So let us see that play out first before we can talk about Soludo. For me, Nigeria seems to be on a track towards progression, give or take. But things that has happened in last 16, 20 years takes a lot of time to build back.
Let me wrap up.
But we are on a trajectory, for me, that will work.
We are on a trajectory towards progression, in your words.
Yes.
In a state where all states are delving towards the ruling party.
One party state.
A one party state. Can that be said? In your final word, because we're pressed for time. In your final word, could that be said to mean that we are on a trajectory towards progression? Knowing fully well what an opposition plays in
that's what I'm going to
Nigeria?
explain to you. Take for instance, democracies differ. There are different kinds of democracies. China is not a democracy.
What kind of democracy are we practicing?
You have asked me one question, I have not answered. You asked me another question. Let me finish with what you have just asked me. The reality is that Nigeria is not going to be a one-party state. Nigeria is tending towards a two-party state. It's not a one-party state. We are looking for the amalgamation of the opposition, which we have not found. That's what you should see. Not a one-party state. They will go into APC, and some people will still fall out of APC before 2027 election. I'm telling you. To
form an opposition.
To be able to run. You see, Nigerians don't have ideology on politics.
So
all they want to do is how can we win election?
So how can we be able to forestall this, especially from party bigwigs?
You can't forestall it, and you can't stop it. Why? Because APC is just starting to build foundation for ideology. So I believe that after these 4 years, there will be some form of ideology in APC. And who does not agree will have to go to the opposition.
Thank you so much for your time.
We
are pressed for time. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is mine always.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
That's our offering for you this morning, and we do believe that you've enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you so much for watching.